Hey, heathens. So today we're watching the movie Expelled. We'll be going through some of the things that they have. I'll discuss what I think they were doing well and what wasn't so good. We'll see how it goes. Let's begin. Stein's opening statements have to do with freedom and stating that apparently he thinks that our freedoms are being taken away from us in the realm of science. Um, no one is stopping you from having the freedom of speech. You can talk about intelligent design all you want to. It just doesn't belong in the classroom. But it really sets the tone because he's really setting the stage where he tries to push this idea of being persecuted, the same way that religious people do quite often. But let's continue. Stein then interviews a few people, starting with Richard Steinberg, who was apparently lost his job because he published an article that was written by Stephen Meyer in favor of intelligent design. Then he interviews Michael Shermer, who had an interesting quote. It says that he was asked by Stein, "Is intelligent design science?" And Shermer replied, "It's not proven." Then asked, "Is it total nonsense?" He says, "Well, if you have proven science and then total nonsense, it's about 3/4 of the way to total nonsense." He mentioned that they are free to write, to publish their papers, to do their research, to get their grants, and attend the conferences just like everybody else. Nobody's censoring them. Of course, Stein pushes the idea that what if they did? What if they did? And Michael Shermer, Skeptics magazine, was a bit skeptical of such a claim. We move on to Caroline Crocker, who was a professor at Georgetown University, who, by her own admission, mentioned intelligent designs in a few slides in her class. Claims that she was then blacklisted. I don't know why she couldn't get a job at a Christian university. There's plenty of those. I mean, hey, Oral Roberts is probably higher. She said, "I get interviews, but not the job." So up next we have Michael Egnor, who suggested that doctors didn't need to study evolution and got criticized for that. Duh. If you don't understand evolution, you can't understand how to fight viruses because they evolve. So yeah, you're going to get criticized for saying something so stupid. Poor baby, he probably got his feelings hurt. Robert Marks, Baylor University shut down his lab and made him pay back grant money when he was doing intelligent design studies. So my question to you, Mr. Marks, is: were you funded for intelligent design studies, or was it something else? If I filed and received a grant to study astronomy, and it turns out I was studying biology instead, they would probably want their money back too, regardless of what I was studying. It wasn't what they were paying for. So, it seems a little fishy to me there. Guillermo Gonzalez, who was an astronomer, and he even found some planets, was denied tenure from Iowa University. Now, he presents all of these, but yet only one sided. No comment from Iowa University or Baylor University or Georgetown University or any of these other places that he is saying is doing these things to get their side. Later, we'll come to that, but for now, this is just presented, and we're just supposed to take his word for it. And I'm sure you can imagine what my opinion of that is. Right after that, he goes to some people who are just too scared to go on camera, and one of these unknown scientists says that if I write intelligent design, they hear creationism and theocracy. Remember that. We'll be coming back to it. So then, therefore, Shermer must be wrong. No, Shermer said that you're free to do your own studies. You're free to publish your findings. You're free to file for the grants. You're free to attend the conferences and all that stuff. None of these people that you just mentioned did any of that. So, no, Shermer's not been proven wrong yet. So from there we go to what people are saying about creationism and why it's so bad. And of course we get a lot of people like Dawkins and Hitchens and some of the others that names that you'd be familiar with talking about just how dumb it is and how unscientific it is and all the rest of it. They even mention that it's just a push to get into teaching creationism and prayers in schools and all the rest of that. And, slippery slope. Yeah, okay, I can understand if you wanted to make that claim, but it's all irrelevant. Keep in mind, one of the things we do know about this from some of the people that were interviewed is that they were approached as if it was, something, somewhat against it, and so they kind of let their guard down and free. Which, hey, that's fine. Speak your mind. I have no problem saying that creationism is stupid. I have no problem saying that it's not scientific, and I don't care if you're telling me that you're coming from a creationist standpoint or not. The thing is that it's being presented as if this is just this evil attitude towards it, but it's an attitude justified. But we're not going to get into that in this video. Let's move on. So up next we go to the creation think tank of the Discovery Institute. And Ben Stein interviews a guy there, and Mr. Chapman says that intelligent design has nothing to do with religion. Really? We're going to come back to that one soon. From there we go on to a Bible college and to plagiarize Penn and Teller, and then there's this asshole. And this guy goes on to tell us about how God could be the intelligent designer, but that's not what intelligent design is. See, creationism is all about the Bible being fit in, but intelligent design, it could be anybody. It might not be God. It could be any kind of intelligence in there. So let's keep that in mind as we proceed. What's interesting about this guy is the way he tries to play semantics here. He argues that if you just take evolution as change over time, well then everybody will accept that. Even the fundamentalists will accept that things change over time. And I suppose he has a point. But then he very tightly defines what the real version of evolution is supposed to be, and that's this idea. And the point that I honed in on of what he was saying was unguided. And he says, and if you after a couple of beers, a lot of scientists will start saying that there's some problems with that. My thought would be that the problem is unguided, and then we get to this guy. We go to a Baptist college and meet up with the guy who says that there's no problem with evolution. Evolution could have happened, but God was at the center of it. Okay, so is this a debate against evolution or the cause of evolution? Are we talking about being guided or unguided, or are we talking about evolution not actually happening? You're starting to see that some of these things I said we'll come back to, you can see where they're already starting to take shape and betray the position that intelligent design is trying to pretend like they're going for. Let's keep going. So now Stein interviews Stephen Myers, the guy with the article that got the first idiot in trouble because he published it. This guy. He goes on to talk about how every argument that can be made for Darwin's ideas has a counter argument that can be made, and then he later says that as Stein compares the fact that there's such a small office versus the vast collective of the scientific community, and questions why should you be questioning someone like Charles Darwin, who was buried in Westminster Abbey's genius section? And he said, well, it's not going to be based on the size of the office, but by the evidence. I've already made a video about this. Please present your evidence for creation. No one has. None. All you can talk about is evidence against evolution, and all of those, every single one that I've ever seen has been a misconception of evolution, not actual evolution, which is why you get laughed out of the academic community. Anyway, I don't want to get too far into that. Let's keep going. And then we get to this guy, Berlinski, who goes on and on about how the theory of evolution is all messed up and it's not as clear as mathematics. Well, duh. He draws a line as he talks about mathematics and then physics, and by the time you get to evolutionary biology, as if biology is in the field of mathematics. It's really ridiculous. But the quintessential part of what he said that lets me know that this guy is a complete and total idiot is he says, we don't even know what a species is. Yes, we do. Look it up. So with this guy Berlinski talking about his smoke involved in the theory of evolution, Stein says, but that's not what we're hearing from other evolution supporters like Richard Dawkins. And of course he throws up a bunch of quick scenes about the God delusion and things with labeling Dawkins as atheist and all that. But remember, intelligent design has nothing to do with religion. Don't take my word for it. Think for yourself.